The fossils of early species of Homo are fascinating, and what I'm about to say is going to be intolerably crude in its simplicity. The general point concerns several species of a creature that, although perhaps smaller than us, is postcranially and in many ways quite like us. The biggest difference, and it's a dramatic one, is that the brain case, although considerably larger than those of Australopithecus, Paranthropus, and early Homo, would clock in at about 2/3, varying around that amount per species, the size of ours. And a great deal of that mass in question for us is represented up here, and therefore these creatures simply don't have this ballooning effect above the eyebrows that we have, and therefore there's an eyebrow ridge effect. See what I mean? Our eyebrow ridges are enveloped by the forehead. Anyway, we're talking about the creatures that don't have that effect. Now, they have various names, and the first part of this narrative comes with the same regions of Eastern Africa along the coasts and also down into the southern extension of Africa, but also with what appears to be some dispersal. Africa is an enormous landmass, and dispersal across its western expanse is part of what occurs. We start seeing fossils there, and even more so, many to the east, out of Africa, all the way along the subcontinents and over into, especially where we find the fossils, into Asia. What are the names? One way to put it is that the most common type we find in Africa is typically called ergaster, and the kind that we typically find in Asia, which is very similar, is called erectus. It's complicated. They all used to be called erectus, but now we're getting taxonomic and nobody wants to hear that. There are some others worth pointing out. Another Asian form is floresiensis, which is interestingly miniaturized, a common phenomenon among mammals, and also several other types or looks that we find scattered through pieces of Africa. Now that second phase, then, if you will, of the species of Homo also features a great deal of contemporaneity, simultaneity of the species, which is an interesting thing for us to contemplate. We are the sole species of our genus alive today. It's hard to think about different kinds of species very much like us running around the same continent and set of continents as we do. Anything else about these creatures? Well, it's controversial. All I really need to go over here is that we had a fascinating, classically mammalian, geographic, and to some extent morphological diversification of our group that was well underway with many different named species before we came along.